not the truth.
This is The Movies That Made Me, with your hosts, Josh Olson
and Joe Dante. What have I got? I got an Invasion of the Saucermen here, and I got a seed pod.
Oh, you do have a seed pod. Oh, is that from the Kaufman?
No, it's from Gremlins 2. It's from Gremlins 2.
Oh, of course. Great, of course.
You can't see because of the reflection, but James Bond is hanging at an angle here, and he has prehensile toes.
He always tells people this, but you can never see it because there's always a reflection in it.
We'll have to believe you.
You look up the poster. It's mind-blowing. It's like people looked at that and went, yeah, that's normal.
That movie has its modern defenders as a James Bond film. It's never been one of my favorites.
Not mine either. Not by a long shot. But I love the poster.
Yeah.
It was literally when I got this house, there's this giant wall here, which is where I write. And I was like, I got to put something there. And then I was at one of those Hollywood book and poster shows over at the Beverly Garland. And a friend of mine went, hey, check that out. And I looked and it was like, wow, it's a terrible way to buy art. It's like, hey, it fits the space. But it's an awesome poster.
It's awesome. Better than the movie. I wonder who made it.
Yeah, way better than the movie. Yeah. Like a lot of things.
That's right.
Well, Begonia, damn good poster.
It is a good poster. Yeah, it's great. That guy that guy's been working with Yorgos from way back in when they were like, Yorgos was like making commercials in Greece. And he's been using that guy. And he does, every time they do a movie, I think he does like 20 variant posters. And so he's got a whole load of them ready to go. And they're all amazing. I don't know if it made us a boatload of money, but I think it's a great poster.
It's a great poster. I'm a big fan of what are the ones from Ghana?
Oh yeah,
those are fantastic.
Those are great.
Crazy ones where they just give everybody machine guns.
No, we should have done that. I think we would have made more money.
Yeah. But this is great poster. Not the best film, but they're all pretty grand.
Yeah.
It's the one where James Bond gets turned into.
He kind of goes Japanese, right?
Very much so. Yeah.
A mistake in retrospect, perhaps.
It's fun. It's a good thing he never went to Africa.
That's right.
But thanks for coming on, man. We very, very excited to have you. Joe doesn't know this, but I'm told so you actually listen to the show.
Oh yeah, I love the show.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's great.
An actual listener.
No, nervous to be on the show.
Oh,
prepared more for this show than I have at any point during the last 4 months of press for the movie.
You must know from listening to the show that we don't prepare anything.
I know, but in a way that puts more onus on me. Like I really have to be good for these guys,
Not in a way. Yeah. I mean, that's totally our thing. I've mentioned. I don't think I've talked about it in a while, though. But I remember early on when I was talking to Ileana Douglas about how we were doing this, and she had her own podcast, which is a great show that Joe and I both went on. Where I've never been. I mean, sitting across from someone who knew so much about me. And she told me afterwards, she said, like, the tough thing about doing a podcast is all the research you have to do before each episode. And I went, not us. You're like, they're lucky if they've seen their friggin' movie.
This is the only time I've been on a podcast. I don't consider you guys like, you are obviously podcasters and great ones, but you're like real deal filmmakers. I've never done a podcast with real deal filmmakers. So it's
you have, however. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying, but you have. There's a joke to be made there about how you made a podcaster into a real movie guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure Joe is not familiar with Stavros's career previous to Begonia.
Are you not? Joe's not a. Are we allowed to say the name of his former? podcast?
Joe, are you a big fan of Come Town, or was that one fly by you back?
That one flew by me.
I think you might not like the kind of bulk of that podcast, but I think there are a few excerpts of that you might enjoy, Joe.
You would enjoy it. And we're Come Town adjacent. We've had Chapo. We've had the Chapo guys on.
Well, also, you did one of my favorite podcast episodes ever, which was Matt Crispin talking about the 9/11 episode of The West Wing.
Oh, well, that was the other show. Yes. Oh, so you do that one.
One of the great moments in podcasting.
Yeah, Joe never listened to that show. We were too.
Yeah, Joe, if you ever get a chance to watch the 9/11 episode of West Wing, it is one of the great train wrecks of modern American culture. It's great.
And we did a deep dive into it. Yeah, wow. So serious. Why? I got to be more respectful. I wish I'd seen the movie now. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly. That would help.
I hear it's good. It's
but he's seen Save the Green Planet though.
I have seen Save the Green Planet. Right. I'm one of my friends, Dan Waters, and I don't even remember why it was so long. I've seen Begonia, of course. I've seen Begonia. It's great. We people need. I feel like we need to keep saying this. Like, if you're listening to us talking to somebody on this show, it is because we want to.
Okay,
it's literally we've. I can't say we've never. Early on, we made there were a few bumps as we were figuring it out. But
there's no publicist gun to your head. You guys are doing
publicists, they try, but we're like, I don't care.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Like, I think the week we got approached by some major studio thing, and there was a filmmaker that I think neither Joe nor I were particularly interested in their approach. I realized that was the week we could have had this giant director of some incredibly boring thing on that we had nothing to talk. And that was the week we dropped Andrew Hickey, the host of
I love his podcast too.
A History of Rock and 500 songs.
500
Actually, we did 2 episodes with him.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's one of those guys you can just let him go, wind him up and let him go. He's the best.
He was so good.
Wait, so what was he? I don't know if I listened to his episode. Was he just doing music films or rock films?
Yeah, he did 10 most important rock and roll films, which is great because it meant that they didn't all have to be movies he liked.
Yeah, right. That's important. If you stress that, then yeah, exactly.
It's a really fun episode, and it's wild listening to him and talking to him because you realize, like, you know, he's not quite as taciturn as he appears on his show.
Now, did he limit himself to? Was it everything? Did that include documentaries, or was it just narrative films?
I think it was pretty much just narrative films.
Yeah, right. Okay,
it's great. If you're a fan of his, you should absolutely.
It makes it harder, right? Yeah, I have to listen to that.
Yeah. But no, man, we're very psyched to have you. And yeah, my friend Dan Waters and I can't remember why we tracked it down many years ago. We I think I still have it somewhere, like a bad import DVD of
It's hard to find. I think it's still hard to find.
Yeah.
Even when I watched it, and I only watched it the one time, Ari Aster, who produced the film, is a friend of mine. He just sent me like a really low res, janky Vimeo file. That was, I think, the only thing that he could find.
Oh, wow.
So I'd never seen the film or even heard of it.
So yeah, no, it was a wild because it's like, you know, we're uber nerds and it's kind of thing where you're like, they're adapting. What?
No, I knew the uber nerds would know and be waiting with the knives out for me. So hopefully, hopefully I didn't disgrace myself too much.
You fooled them by changing the sex of the main character.
That's right. Exactly.
That's right.
Turns out that does quite a bit to make a difference, doesn't it? Yeah.
No, for sure it does. But anyway, should we probably 8 minutes in? His name, ladies and gentlemen, is Will Tracy. In case you're wondering,
he always gets around to it sooner or later.
They know.
No, that's good. It's like a long cold open. It's good.
Yeah.
If you've listened to the show, you know Joe always busts my chops. What else do you like? Is there like some boring story I've told 300 times you want to hear again? If you're a fan of the show, I don't know. But anyway, he is. So Begonia nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress, Music, and Adapted Screenplay, written by Mr. Tracy. I love like calling you. I'm sure you're not a first-time screenwriter, but it is your first script to be produced. Is that correct? Or
my second script to be produced.
What about The Menu?
I wrote a
Oh God, that's right. Sorry. Why did I think you was a
Menu's It's a great movie.
Yeah, no, I've seen The Menu. Get out of here. Okay, I'll cut that part. I sound like an idiot. So why did I think that?
Don't cut it.
Why did I think that
Let's
you
be
were?
Truthful.
Yeah, well, because that wasn't much of a screenplay. Let's be honest.
There we go. There we go. Now we're into it.
I love The Menu.
Thank you very much.
Great flick. And he's got a really, really cool list for us, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you listen to the show, you know Joe never knows. So why don't you tell? It's such a. I think who was it? I'm blanking. Writer director who did his favorite movies in which the characters first name was the title.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's probably more.
Oh, it was Brian Helgeland, right?
Brian Helgeland. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. There you go. This is
he knows who it is.
I know.
You're the host.
I love that. And didn't somebody do like movies starting with so this isn't quite there, but this is pretty good. This is pretty specific. Let Joe know what you're.
I did try to. It is obviously my theme is connected to the film Begonia, but it's not. Don't worry, we don't have to keep harkening back to the goddamn movie I wrote. We can just. And also, I'm going to have a lot of examples that.
Which was your first movie, I believe, correct?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So, well, the first 5. No. So my list is my favorite movies. My favorite held captive movies. That is, movies in which a character or characters are being held captive. Now, I'm casting a wide net here. So this can be a hostage film, a kidnapping film, a prisoner or prison film, or something that's more psychologically captive and not so physical. So I'm casting a very wide net. And again, you guys are going to come
are we going far enough to be like somebody who's held captive by their bad habits?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I haven't gone. I wasn't quite that annoying, but we edge close to that, but not quite into that. And also, I wanted to, kind of use.
And it is annoying because there's no doubt about
it. I wanted to use every part of the buffalo here, so I'm trying to find like kind of every variant of captive movie that I could think of. And not just the same type over and over again. And a few of these are kind of, directly things that I pulled from for the film. I've organized this chronologically.
All right. Well, you want to?
Yes. First film. Right yes. First film.
I mean, we're basically all held hostage here for at least an hour, so you might as well.
You are now my captives. So the first film is from 1945, Murder, He Says, directed by George Marshall, with Fred MacMurray.
Wow.
This is it's one of those kind of like, I guess, from the classic era of Paramount Pictures comedies. This is a really kind of unhinged, dark comedy in which Fred MacMurray plays a pollster, like for kind of a gallop type poll. It's actually called the trotter poll. He says it's a little slower than the gallop. And he goes to, he's doing kind of a survey, and I think he's looking for his former partner who went missing. And he goes to the house and way out in the woods, like in hillbilly country. And he runs afoul of some insane, murderous hillbilly family called the Flegels, led by the kind of matriarch of the family played by Marjorie Main, later of Ma Kettle fame. And she sports a whip the whole movie and is cracking her whip at everyone. And Fred MacMurray's jumping out at the whole movie. And it's sort of one of the first, I call it, in terms of the captive theme, one of the first class captive movies. And this is when a kind of well-mannered, reasonably affluent middle manager type descends into a kind of hillbilly hell, or an uptown guy goes downtown. So it's sort of a precursor to like an After Hours or Something Wild, and he's trying to battle his way out of this sort of like classist situation that terrifies him. He wants out, and so it's one of the first of those. Have you either of you seen?
I'm sure Joe has.
Of course, I've seen it. They used to run it all the time.
Yes, they did used to run it all the time. They used to run it a lot on. The reason why I've seen it is because this was one of many movies that when the VHS recorder first came out when I was a kid and my mom bought one, she used to tape off of AMC, what was then called American Movie Classics, all the time. And this movie was constantly running on there. And I think they still show it on TCM quite a bit too. So this was on a tape with The Ghost Breakers, which is also George Marshall, the Bob Hope movie. Bob Hope and Paulette Goddard, a fun but terribly racist film. And then what was else? And I think Hold That Ghost. So we kind of had like a series of like sort of supernatural themed comedies. Those were big in my house growing up.
And is Murder, He Says good?
I think Murder, He Says is great, but I haven't seen it in many years.
It's very funny.
Yes, it's considered a kind of like a cult classic. I know like Pauline Kael was a big fan of it. I later found out when I started reading her. I think it has its kind of highbrow fans. It's also
J.D. Vance's favorite picture.
Yeah, that's right. It is a kind of nightmarish comedic hillbilly elegy, which I guess we're now all.
Well, I'm looking. There's two posters here that are both along the same theme. Where it's is this Helen Walker in the blue jean?
I think
cutoffs?
she's in it. Yeah. So there's two. Yeah.
And Marjorie. Yeah, it's her in like cut off blue jeans and
that's right. Yes.
And a whip
she shows up pretending
pistol.
to be a kind of Bonnie Parker type criminal, and ends up being the love interest. And a great performance as twins from Peter
Whitney.
Joe, you know
Peter
this.
Whitney. Peter Whitney is on every other episode of The Rifleman.
Yeah, he always played heavies, oftentimes not in comedic heavies. Here he's playing very funny kind of twin brothers, and they do some really clever camera trickery to get him doing the twin stuff. And it's great. It's kind of a gross and uncomfortable watch at times because they go right into it, but it's a great one.
That's worth seeing.
So that's the first one.
Wow. I'd never even heard of that one.
Yeah, no, check it out. It's sort of in the same category of like dark cult comedy as like Ace in the Hole, that type of thing, where you wonder like, oh, how is this made? You know, who greenlit this exactly at the time? Because it's mainly a series of very unlikable characters in very unpleasant situations. It's funny. And a couple of the gags I think were ripped off later. There's the famous gag where he knocks a guy out and then positions himself. The guy's legs are kind of hanging over the edge of this bin, and he positions himself so it looks as though the guy's legs are his when someone walks into the room. So he's pretending that the knocked out guy's legs are his. And I think Gene Wilder ripped it off for Young Frankenstein or Haunted Honeymoon or something.
Well, I just bought it. It's on Blu-ray.
Great. No, I think
for some reason Amazon thought I might want to bundle it with Videodrome.
And that is an interesting double feature.
People often buy these two movies together, it says.
If you love Fred MacMurray like I do, this is kind of right at the peak where like Fred MacMurray was a pretty big box office draw at the time. And this is I love him, and this is one of his great kind of comedy performances. Arsenic and Old Lace is another good kind of comp for this. Mm-hmm. That style of dark comedy. Next film. So this is my favorite film in which the captor turns the captives against each other.
Yes.
And this is
turns
Anthony
the captives?
Mann's The Naked Spur from 1953.
Oh yeah,
turns the captives against each other.
Yeah,
right. I think there's just one. It's just Robert Wright. I think is the captive in this. Yeah. And this is, if you haven't seen The Naked Spur, this is fantastic. This is the kind of movie where, like, in the first 10 minutes, Jimmy Stewart, who's playing this kind of what you think at first is a sheriff or bounty hunter or marshal on, later it turns out he's not, but he's looking for Robert Ryan's character, who is an outlaw who has killed a U.S. Marshal. And he runs into a guy who might be able to help him, who's a deserter from the military. And he says, Jimmy Stewart says, "Let me see your desertion form." And he looks at it and says, "Morally unstable." And it's the kind of thing where it's like, this is going to be a good movie. If at the beginning somebody has a desertion form that says morally unstable,
and it's Ralph Meeker.
Ralph Meeker, the fantastic Ralph Meeker.
Yeah,
great. He's great playing one of the many creeps he excelled at playing. And yeah, Robert Ryan. The whole movie is sort of hinges on the amused smile of Robert Ryan. It's just it cuts to him as the captive, enjoying his game of cat and mouse that he's playing with his captors so thoroughly, because he's kind of convinced them all, like, well, actually, there would be more. It says dead or alive, and there would be more money, by the way, if you don't split three ways. Do you really need that guy? I don't know if he's really doing much for you. And then kind of playing them all against each other. It's great.
Has he ever been bad at a movie? Robert Ryan?
I think he.
I've never seen a bad performance.
Like one of the 5 greatest Hollywood actors. Yeah. No, he's one of the great Hollywood lefties too. So no, I have nothing bad to say about Robert Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, and if there is, I guarantee you, it's because he was badly cast.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, but even then, I bet he made something out of it.
Like as Genghis Khan or something.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
No, he didn't make those kind of mistakes.
Right. But Anthony Mann, I think, is my favorite director of Westerns. I mean, I would include Ford. I would include, I mean, he's just my guy. He's my favorite.
He's great.
Yeah.
He is quite great. Have you seen the Black, oh my God.
Black Book.
Joe, help me out here.
Black Book,
the
Reign
French
of
Revolution
Terror.
one. Black Book.
Reign of Terror, the Black Book.
I haven't. What's that? I don't think I've seen that.
Oh,
you
it's now out on Blu-ray. It's been hard to get for a long time. It's a French Revolution noir, directed by Anthony Mann.
Wow.
And it's just Joaquin Cold. You don't need to know anything.
French Revolution noir.
It's designed by William Cameron Menzies, and it's made for $1.98. But it's so brilliant in its use of rear screen projection and stuff. It's really, really good.
Wait, what year? When did this fall in his career?
49.
Oh, so fairly early. Yeah. Wow. Okay, great.
Fairly early, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I've never even heard of it. It's great. I mean, so a lot of I like El Cid. I mean, I like a lot of his non-Westerns. I think he's great. Yeah. So that's my second one. Then the next one, I knew I needed I don't really want to, prison movies is this whole other genre.
Mm-hmm.
So, but technically, if we're doing a captive thing, I think there has to be a prisoner movie, a prison film.
That's true. Yeah, and I could see the.
Yeah, you have to. So I'm going to work that into my variant just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And the greatest prison film ever, I think, is A Man Escaped, 1956. Bresson's A Man Escaped. This is my best example of a kind of prison movie, and also the best movie about kind of the interior life of the captive, because you're kind of in his head the whole movie. It's his VO. There's very little dialogue outside of that. It's kind of for me, sometimes I feel like I'm overly reliant on like dialogue. No one shuts the fuck up in the things that I write. And this is a great example of, it's kind of like a screenwriter's dream where there's none of that. There's very little kind of, even though you're in his head, there's very little kind of interior emotional investigation. There's zero sentiment. There's very little in what you would call even melodrama. It's sort of just a procedural, really. It's exactly what the title says. It's about a man escaping, and you kind of follow through the courses of that. And yet somehow, because we're aware of what the stakes are, right? This is a man he's being held captive by fascists, who's escaping to find his freedom, and to avoid death. So the stakes couldn't be clearer. And other people have said this, but his journey to find freedom and escape takes on, without the movie really saying anything more about it, takes on this kind of almost spiritual gravity, right? It's sort of almost a kind of religious ritual that he puts himself through, and has its own beauty and poetry to the procedure of trying to escape and find freedom. So I had to include it. It's also just kind of in my personal 10 favorite films. Yeah, really? I mean, I just love Bresson in general. And yeah, but this manages to find its way in, because I do think it hits the theme.
And it does seem, as you say, like, and again, since I've only seen your one film, of the two I've seen, yeah, you do tend to be someone who leans towards great dialogue, which, it's funny. Like I love when, and this seems like very much not something you would write.
Yeah, and so you kind of envy the thing that you feel like, I don't think I could do that with, and make it interesting. I mean, it also it's a lot of these kind of hinge on something that I like to do in general, which I guess both of my movies are held captive movies. I guess The Menu is as well. But I do like a contained thing rather than freaking me out. I like that I can't just, if I wanted to, and now let's cut to Cairo, Egypt, and see what this other character's doing. Yeah. I like limiting my options.
No, restrictions are great. Yeah, restrictions, really there's nothing like them.
They're really great.
Yeah, I mean, my the film doesn't live up to at least my fantasy But yeah, I always think of like Larry Cohen's phone booth as like the ultimate.
That's right. Exactly.
Could have been the ultimate version of that.
That's right. Exactly. Some of them, exactly. Some of them it's like too contained and it doesn't quite. Like Lifeboat has never quite worked for me. And then what's another? There's someone where they're stuck on an elevator the whole time. So sometimes it doesn't always quite work.
Oh, but, yeah. Is that the supernatural one, the M. Night?
Yes,
one,
exactly.
or?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Which I don't think I ever saw the whole thing. But
one can be too restricted.
One can be too restricted. But yeah, I like a little bit of containment there and limitation of options, and then
one motel, one weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
6 characters.
And actually, I remember. And from the director's point of view, I remember Yorgos telling me the same thing about the camera. It's like, if you limit yourself to like, well, okay, I'm going to do, Academy ratio, or I'm going to do, on this film, Begonia, he used the VistaVision camera, which is it's great camera if you're shooting vistas, but an incredibly difficult camera to use if you're in a fucking basement the whole movie doing close coverage. It's incredibly loud. It's very difficult to get up and down those stairs, and because it's a big camera too. And so we just had to camera test it for a week and get the actors used to the idea of basically this Sherman tank rearing its engines in the room while you're trying to act, So but Yorgos said that kind of created that kind of challenge or limitation for yourself is ultimately leads to a richer, more interesting film, right? Where everything's not so easy.
Was it post-synced?
Yeah, I think they did. We had Johnny Byrne, who had just come off winning an Oscar for sound for Zone of Interest. So he also was looking forward to. I think they found ways to kind of muffle and do some stuff in sync, but no, it wasn't obviously fully kind of ADR post sync, but they did quite a. I think it was a big task for Johnny. I can't begin to tell you how he did it, but he'd be a fascinating guest, but. Yeah, it's a big, that's why a lot of these films that advertise themselves as being, we shot it on the VistaVision. Actually, it's only like 30-40%, like the big Vista scenes or wide shots, outdoor stuff. They do that on Vista, but it's rare to go really interior with it. But ultimately worth in the end, because then the faces in Bugonia kind of become these vistas, these landscapes, they look incredible. So yes. So that's A Man Escaped. Next one. This one is.
Oh, this one fits.
This is not cheating.
Just tell Joe where it's set. He'll get it. But just it's characters being held captive where.
So they are inside the estate or mansion of a couple. Their guests have all just arrived from the opera. Can you guess based on that yet?
Exterminating Angel.
Exterminating Angel. That's correct. Yes. Well done. You can't fool this guy. So yeah, Exterminating Angel, 1960.
No, it's a good picture.
Yeah, this is a very rare breed of film, which I would call the self-captivating. It's they are captive only to their own what would you call it? Their own bourgeois fears, their inability to process the outside world. What is it? I mean, that's the great debate about the movie, right? They can't quite leave.
Yeah. And why not? Right.
That's right. Right. All the servants have been killed in the Spanish Civil War, and now they're living their lavish life. The servants all sort of leave at some kind of inexplicably, I think, at the beginning of the film, and so they're sort of alone, and they feel without that kind of, I guess, the frictionless servant class kind of leading them through the doors and through their lives, with no sense of kind of the turmoil of the world outside. They find themselves unable to leave. That's one way of interpreting it, but it's one of those great, Buñuelian allegorical films where you can kind of debate forever exactly what it means. But certainly they are holding themselves captive.
Or are they?
I mean, how do they finally get out? I think they finally get out by they say, look, everything in the room on the furniture is exactly where it was when we came in here for dinner. So why don't you play that song on the piano again, and we'll try to recreate the same conversation. And then we'll try to walk out, and then it works.
Spoiler alert.
That's right. But then they all go into a church at the end, and no one can leave the church, and then you see sheep going into the. So look, we don't have time to fully unpack it, but I think what makes it great is that aside from all of this, what does it all mean? Shit. manages to be tense and funny and strangely a kind of accessible watch. You don't feel as though you're watching a kind of forbidding art film. You're feeling like you're watching a sort of tense comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's so, it's just an odd film. It is. I remember the first time I saw it, just kind of going, what? I don't even know how to process this. I'm so used to like, well, it's about a heist, or it's about a couple getting divorced, or it's about it's like, it's a bunch of people go to.
He did. This is his sort of the ruling class can't leave the dinner party. And then he later, of course, did the ruling class can never arrive at dinner, which is the discreet charm.
Right.
So yeah, he did the flip, which is great. And so that's the self-captivating, which I don't think I'd be hard pressed to think of another film like that, where it's sort of, there's nothing physically barring the characters from leaving, but they feel as though they are held captive. This might be in a category of its own, a subgenre.
Well, it's funny because the ones I'm thinking of are all kind of, I mean, they're, people could leave.
How about No Exit?
Yeah, No Exit. That's good. No Exit's good. Was that ever?
There is a movie version. There is a movie.
Yeah.
Who
made the movie
Lee Grant
version?
is in it. I think somebody like Joseph Strick, but it's definitely an indie picture from the early 60s.
Worth watching?
I haven't seen it since it came out. I have no idea.
Yeah. I feel like
I'm thinking more of like things where people are sort of, is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
That's true. That's right.
Count or again, one of my favorites comes up all the time, Abigail's Party, where it's just like,
oh yeah, that's right. It's just another. Exactly.
You could actually leave. It's just too awkward.
That's right. That's exactly right. You're captured by good manners exactly. Yeah, you can't quite do it.
Exactly.
That's right. So the next one is kind of a double feature because they're essentially. Well, one film is clearly, if not a direct homage to, it certainly owes a tremendous debt to Rio Bravo, 1959, or Assault on Precinct 13 from 1976. They're essentially the same basic premise, which is
pretty similar. Yeah,
pretty similar, right? These are both the great examples of movies where, in some way, the captive has the power. And the captors are tremendously outmanned and outgunned. And they're trying to hold off the forces who are coming to take the captive away from them. And they both kind of end up being, they allow for that tension, and that waiting allows for these kind of great sense of character study too. They're kind of both hangout movies in a strange way, where you kind of just get to hang with your captor characters as they wait for this encroaching army that they know is coming to come. And they're both great. I mean, I think Rio Bravo is ultimately the better film, but Assault on Precinct 13 is more of a really nifty
I'm sure Carpenter
thriller.
would agree.
Yeah, great early John Carpenter. But Rio Bravo is one of those, you can kind of turn it on any time and you just enjoy being with those characters and hanging with those characters, even before you get to the big climax. And Dean Martin's his best performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think never been better.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything better. Yeah.
Really, really good. As the sort of the alcoholic gunfighter. He's great. So yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Assault on Precinct 13 in a while, but last time I saw it was with an audience, and this was probably about 10 or 15 years ago at some movie house that was playing again. And from what I remember, even with young audience who snicker at everything that's slightly dated, it was one of those things where it totally worked. It totally worked.
Yeah, it'll win you over. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
Completely wins you over.
Great film.
It's great.
That is the best. And yeah, it's a thing that and we've all been guilty of it, I guess, but it's gotten increasingly awful. The sort of
what is it?
The snickering at the datedness of a movie, which is sometimes something you can't help.
Of course, sometimes that's right. That's right.
But there is nothing like sitting there when a movie like that is just having its way with a contemporary audience.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
What is it? Where does that come from? Where does the instinct come from, you think? Are you wanting to signal to the rest of the audience that, like, I have enlightened modern contemporary politics?
I think there's I think there's a lot of it, because sometimes it is just funny to realize how staggeringly awful some of the things we would let ourselves say and do.
That's right.
You can't help but laugh.
That's right.
And then there's the sort of like grotesque things too. But but then there's also that just kind of like, I'm better than this. Yeah, we're better than that. And then, who knows? Sometimes I feel like when I'm with an audience that's laughing in the right way, and sometimes I feel like I'm not, and I get indignant, and it's all.
The worst is when the laughing comes from, like, what they're laughing at is not so much a political attitude that's dated, or even a cultural attitude that's dated, but the actual cadence of the way people speak, the dialogue. Like, I'm sorry, people spoke a little differently in 1945. And when you're laughing at that.
And in movies.
Yeah, exactly. And in movies at that time, exactly.
Yeah.
So, that feels like the cheapest and most worthless type of audience laughter.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're jumping up a bit in time, and we're also jumping into some movies that probably the audience is most familiar with. So we're jumping into 1973, Hal Ashby's The Last Detail. This is the variation on Held Captive here is the captors and captives form a loving bond subgenre. And in fact, by the end of the movie, sort of learn that all of them are captives to something bigger. And within the power dynamic, it may seem as though the two of us are higher up than you, but actually we're all sort of working for the man, aren't we? And we're all sort of imprisoned by this thing that we can't get out of, that stops us from caring for each other and stops us from living full, actualized lives. And now that sort of doesn't really emerge until the end of the film. Most of the film is this sort of warm and very naturalistic and beautifully acted kind of comic road film that also kind of as it goes on, we're sort of it merges a bit what we know about these characters. They don't volunteer too much because they're not those types. But as the movie goes on, we're leaning closer and closer because we want to know more and more about these people and feel for them.
Yeah. Naturalistic is one way of putting it.
Yeah.
I still think there's more profanity in that movie.
Yeah, I think for a while it held the record, right? For most fucks ever in a film.
Yeah.
And I think it's still up there.
The TV version is particularly funny. It is so funny. I mean, the lengths they have to go to try to find something that will fit in their mouths that doesn't sound stupid. And of course, it all sounds stupid.
That there's no way that you can get
These
out
guys
of.
are obsessed with fudge.
Exactly. And forks. They loved forks and fudge.
Forks.
I am the Mother Forking Shore Patrol, Mother Forker. I am the Mother Forking Shore. So there's no way around that line,
Yeah.
But it's great. Yeah. And as a screenwriter, it is sort of, it's, again, I'm not saying anything new here, but Robert Towne's script is a kind of, it's a very common screenwriter's pick from a kind of screenwriter. And it's great. And right up there with my favorite Nicholson performances. And Randy Quaid, I hate to say it, lovely performance by Randy Quaid.
It was great.
It was back when he was sane.
Yeah. Look, I don't have to hang out with these people to enjoy their work, man.
Did you ever work with him, Joe?
Nope, I worked with his brother.
Oh, that's right. Of course, in Inner Space, where he's great.
Yeah.
And did you ever know Ashby at all? Was he already kind of sliding down?
I never met him. I never got to meet him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Should have started the podcast sooner, Joe.
Yeah.
Obviously.
All right. Next up, 2 years later, 1975. I felt I had to pick a kind of a true hostage movie. And so Dog Day Afternoon is the hostage movie for me. And also it's a major influence on Begonia because it fits the theme of, it's not just the hostage theme, it's also the theme of emotionally ill-equipped captors. people who they go and they do it. They take the hostages. They take some people captive, but they're emotionally ill-equipped for the pressure and the kind of downstream effects of and consequences of their actions, and ultimately do not succeed because of their own, I guess, emotional sweatiness, which is, I think very much in line with Begonia. I mean, Begonia is a film about. They're not. I personally don't believe the characters in Begonia, Teddy and Don, are either stupid or crazy. They're not equipped really to be kidnappers or criminals. And also, in the case of Begonia, they have a pretty strong argument. Certainly, I think Teddy has a pretty strong argument. He's not entirely wrong, not just about what kind of happens at the end of the film, but just his kind of larger point about, I guess, an atomized and isolated and immiserated American populace in the kind of dying democratic fail state. I think he's correct about a lot of that. He doesn't necessarily correctly diagnose every bit of that. His methods may be unsound, but in many ways,
it's Ted Kaczynski.
Exactly.
But you got a point.
But in many ways, he is sort of right, and but he's emotionally ill-equipped for the task of being. And he tries to kind of hide his emotional biases beneath this kind of veneer of, we're going to follow the protocols of the Geneva Conventions and so forth. And here's how we're going to take care of everybody. And we're not monsters. And but what over time, what gets dismantled is that sense of self. And so you see beneath very clearly that emotional bias. And that's, I think that Dottie Afternoon is probably, I think they're probably a little bit dimmer, the two guys in this movie. But that dynamic between Cazale and Pacino was a big influence on the dynamic between Jesse Plemons' character and Aidan Delbus's character in Begonia. That was kind of a jumping off point for me.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they're not doing the robbery for such kind of exalted reasons in their minds.
That's right.
Yeah,
but in some ways, it's for a kind of an emotional, personal reason that is not without its sweetness.
Very much so.
Film too.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean that's why all the hostages kind of like them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And it would have been, especially for that time, would have been very easy to make that part of the movie. I mean, look, I haven't seen a little bit. Maybe that bit of it hasn't aged particularly well, but it would be very easy at the time to have made that part of that movie a complete punchline. But it's not, I think.
No, I'll tell you, and we've discussed it a couple times with guests in the show. I mean, it does hold up. All that stuff, which is astonishing when you consider the time and what their motivation is.
That's right.
And you're like, the fact that it's handled, I would argue, better than it would be if they made the film today.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's handled matter of factly.
Yeah, and that's the difference. I think you're right. If it were handled today, it would be. I think
it would be a statement.
It would be a statement, exactly.
And it's handled matter of factly in a way that is in no way, shape, or form demeaning or degrading to them.
Nope.
That if you watch it today, there's literally you can't possibly watch that and go their portrayal of these characters. It works. Because, like a lot of great movies, the trick is love your characters and understand them.
And maybe it helps that it was based on a true story, and so they felt some sort of obligation or responsibility to be faithful to that.
That's
story.
Probably how they got away with it.
That's probably how they got away with it. That's exactly right. So that's a great one. The next one, 1982. There's not that much captive stuff in the film, but it absolutely does qualify.
But it's memorable.
Yeah, The King of Comedy, 1982. This is
there's a lot of captor stuff.
There is. But actually, the bit of the movie where he's being held captive is not the bulk of the film minute-wise, but runtime-wise. But yes, clearly the whole movie is sort of about that and leading up to that. But this falls into a subgenre of which there might not be many, but this is captor envies captive and indeed wants to replace captive and to become the captive. It's a great example of that. And it's sort of also a movie where, I guess, especially in the stuff with Sandra Bernhardt, where the parasocial becomes the social, right? Where this kind of imagined relationship that you have with your captive once you actually capture them becomes realized in some ways that is almost certain to end in disappointment.
To say the least.
To say the least.
Remember at the time kind of recognizing the relationship that De Niro and Sandra Bernhard had from kind of fan culture.
That's
and
right.
What I know of them, but still at the same time kind of prescient, because you look at it now and what am I trying to say? It's not a relationship that's as obscure in a movie today.
That's right.
As it was back then.
Yes. Also, they do something very smart and prescient, which it's amazing that they recognize this for the time. And I find this completely true in sort of like modern internet, stan cultures or fan cultures for celebrities, that even within that stan or fan culture, those fans don't like each other or agree with each other always. And so even though they collaborate in the film, De Niro and Bernhardt's character, they kind of don't like each other and annoy each other and think that the other one's crazy. You're the crazy fan. I'm a normal. I have a relationship with this guy. You don't.
Yeah. Jerry likes me.
Yeah. I think it was a very, very smart to make them kind of a different cut type and to make them disagree with each other. I think it's very smart.
Yeah. I think that, you have nailed it, because it is a thing. And I do remember seeing it the first time going, oh, I know people like this.
Yeah, that's right.
And, you would see it today and you're like, oh, everybody knows people like this.
Well, now we live in a kind of a country of pumpkins. I mean, this country should be called like the United States of like Pumpkinzonia or something.
Pumpkinia.
Pumpkinia. We are living in a pumpkin reality that we cannot escape from. We are all captives to pumpkin at this point.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, after all, what is not to get too into, but yeah, it's like Donald Trump, the Rupert Pumpkin.
Absolutely. It's a straight line. Yes.
And
then everyone who's
although he still acts like he's down in his mother's basement most of the time.
We're all down in the basement. Yeah. And we're his mom
yelling in the basement with Rupert.
We're his mom yelling at him to shut up, So that's where we are. And then the next film is probably the clearest in some ways, I think, just in terms of being a satisfying narrative, might be my favorite captive film. Not necessarily the best, but like the most watchable. That hits a lot of these things that we've talked about elsewhere in this conversation, and that's from 1990, Misery, Rob Reiner's Misery, which is great because also as someone, this is the first time I'd written an adaptation, and it's a beautiful work of adaptation. Because I think this is William Goldman wrote the script, and I think Stephen King's novel was kind of considered more or less unfilmable because it's so interior and it's basically a guy strapped to a bed and very little happens. And I think Goldman and Reiner and the amazing actors, James Caan and Kathy Bates, are kind of able to make what is, in terms of real estate, a very small, talk about contained, right? And they're kind of able to escalate their scenes. And that room kind of takes on new dimensions as the movie goes on, even though it's the same room. And it's, I think, just a really, really smart, tense, and also very funny piece of work. So I think Misery is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. It's funny, too, that then he went back and wrote another book about somebody tied to a bed entirely by themselves.
Yeah,
and that got made into a pretty good movie too. So
wait, which one are you?
Gerald's Game.
Oh yeah, right. I never saw that movie.
Mike Flanagan did a really good job with that. You're like, how do you pull that off?
Who plays the lead in that?
Carla Gugino.
Oh yeah, great. I've never read the novel nor seen that film. Yeah, I have to watch that.
Yeah, I listened to the novel in a car ride at one point. It was amazing that he could sustain it as long as he did as a book and then unfilmable. But yeah, at least Misery, there's room for conversations.
I think the big change is in the novel. I think they fully cut off his foot.
His leg. I don't remember.
And I think Reiner, in what feels like a Reiner-esque move, it was like it's a little tough to come back from that.
More than enough
to come back from, especially because it happens fairly early in the film, and hobbling might be enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're both so good. I mean, that was our introduction to her.
She's incredible and obviously won the Oscar. And then somehow, maybe because she won the Oscar and she that was sort of the beginning of her amazing career, it does get lost a little bit just how good James Caan is in the movie. And the movie just does not work without him. He's great. And this is another parasocial becomes social, obviously. Maybe an even fuller examination.
Even more so.
That.
Yeah. For sure. Like, hadn't she, this is embarrassing because I've seen a bunch of, but hadn't she written, or she ended up writing the next Misery book? Is that it?
I think it begins.
There is kind of fanfic element.
It begins with, he has just finished finally his new Misery book, which is a big surprise even to his editor. Doesn't even know he hates the character and he kills her off.
That's right. Yes, he kills her off.
And he's driving with the manuscript of that new Misery novel, gets in a car crash, is saved by his biggest fan, brought to her house in the cabin in the woods. And, while she's a little odd, very odd, but while she's kind of nursing him back to health, she finds in his bag the manuscript and reads it and becomes furious with anger. How could you do this? You've killed her. And then cripples him, and then forces him to write a new novel in which the character lives, kind of for her.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's also kind of a movie about being a writer, Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, and being a successful one too. It's like, there's that is Stephen King saying something about some of his fans,
right.
For sure.
And then, so the last movie on my list, and I put it last. It happens to come chronologically last because I think it's 1997, and it's a movie I have only seen once and I'll never watch again because it is the most troubling captive movie, and therefore maybe the ultimate, because it makes you. It kind of gets you at all the feelings that are in on this list of movies, but in the most awful and upsetting way, and also is it feels like it's commenting on all of these conventions and almost implicating us, the viewer, in all of these conventions. And that's Michael Haneke's Funny Games, which I guess he liked so much that he made it twice. I have not seen the remake. He did an American remake of his own film.
My understanding, and I get this, is that in his mind, because it was a critique of American films, he always wanted to do it. It was conceived as a film.
Yes.
With American. So all of which is legit, but that doesn't necessarily mean you remake it shot for shot with American actors.
Exactly. I think he barely altered it. I think it's sort of like, I think the people who wanted to see Funny Games the first time saw it. I don't think you need to give it another go. But it's again, I have only seen the film the one time. I don't even know if I like the movie. It's not the kind of movie I think one is meant to like in that sense.
Yeah.
It is a sort of
he would not be upset.
Yes, it is exactly. It is a provocation of, I guess, all the things that we like about the other movies on this list, and a provocation, and basically it's kind of accusing us of being, I guess, complicit in the culture of violence or latent violence by the fact that we enjoy watching the kinds of movies that are on this list. Movies like Misery, where we kind of get off on the escalation of the violence, the tension of the violence, and then ultimately hoping, of course, in a kind of in a sort of moral atonement at the end of the film that the character is able to escape, and so therefore the movie did the right thing by letting the characters, your heroes, get away, which of course Haneke does not do in this film. That famously, there's a kind of a moment where the captor tricks and fools one of the captors, and then it ends up, killing him. And you think, yes, they're going to get away. And then he rewinds the film in media res. Right. And so we go back to the beginning of that scene and kind of see, well, no, here's how it would really happen. And then the movie kind of plays out from there. So yeah, again, I wouldn't say I love the film as a piece of entertainment, but as a kind of a metatextual document, it's quite interesting.
I wonder if he saw The Last House on the Left.
Yeah, right. Because they kind of do it, right?
It's very similar.
It's very similar, but without the sort of the art house back padding. It's just a sort of down and dirty, grimy, B movie.
Yep.
And it's essentially the same thing, right? We think we're going to get away from these people, but no. Yeah, it's
and
great.
I'm kind of like I like Haneke a lot. I like Cachet's great. I mean, so many of his films are. This one, and I saw both. It was one of those things where like the first one just annoyed the hell out of me. It's like, oh, he's redoing it shot for shot. And English like, I'm gonna go see that and be annoyed too. But
I know that feeling.
He's such a good filmmaker.
He's so good, yeah.
But there's like a moment where a character turns to the camera and goes like, I what does he say? Like, you're hoping I'll get away with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. I'm like, yeah, because I'm watching a movie. You know, I'm actually capable of distinguishing between.
Yeah, it's almost there. You know what you mean. There's a slight element of like you are artfully pointing out something that what actually was obvious to us, the audience, as well. Like we weren't unaware by the relationship we have to this movie and to movies in general. We are kind of aware.
Yeah, and if your argument is that enjoying violence in movies leads to a more violent world and people committing it, then just showing us violence in a movie and saying you're enjoying this, aren't you, doesn't do that.
That's right.
It sort of assumes we already agree with you on that.
That's right.
I'm sure a lot of people who watch his films.
And then the act of remaking it. What does that say?
Especially perverse. What does that say? Because basically what you're saying is, I want this to go bigger with the American market. It's kind of what you're saying. I mean, that's in brackets, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cynical.
It is a little bit cynical. But at the same time, like he is a master filmmaker, and all the things that a captive movie does that make you feel tense and awful and troubled.
That stuff all works.
The movie does all the genre beats perfectly, and in some ways in a more upsetting and visceral way than have ever been done before. So like, yeah, you have to at least, I guess, tip your cap to his talent as a filmmaker.
Oh, for sure. No, 100%. And it just, and I'm sure I'm not doing him justice by sort of describing his intent in such simplistic terms, because he's Haneke. But that's what it felt like. And I kept, I was like, yeah, you could just have Elmer Fudd turn to the camera and say the same thing. It would be just as annoying, but it would be funny.
That's right.
But what kind of masturbation is it to make your own movie again?
Yeah, it is.
Especially that movie with that story, and make the audience complicit again.
Well, that was.
I really do. I believe that it was his opportunity to make the film that he really wanted to make.
That's right.
And that he felt hampered by not being able to do it.
Well, oddly, the film Begonia began, the original plan for Begonia, Ari Aster's plan, and he's a brilliant filmmaker and a great friend, and most of his ideas are great. He did have an idea that's not, he's great. He did have one idea that was not great. His original idea for this was that I would write a very contemporary, Anglo-American, remake of Save the Green Planet that was kind of preoccupied with all the political and cultural kind of motifs of the moment, but that Zhang Junwan, the Korean director of the original film, writer-director of the original film, would direct this remake of his own movie. And it actually was that for a little bit, and then Zhang Junwan, I think fairly quickly but correctly realize exactly what Joe said, which is like, what am I doing? And why would I do this? And also, I understand, like, I think he wanted to make a film. It would have been his first film for an American audience, his first film in English. So I think that was the original impetus. Like he could break into the American market this way, but then I think he ultimately felt like, is that the way you want to break into American market? Like, it doesn't feel quite right. And also, I wrote a very different film from his original film, and I do think it's difficult for writer-directors to, even though the brief was even from him, no, go write something completely different. I think when they see something completely different, there is naturally, I would be the same way, that instinct to kind of claw back bits of the original, because that's what I'm
trying to think of, The Vanishing is an example of that.
Yeah, but the original is so much better, right?
Oh, so much better. Yeah. But how many times, have there been many of those, Joe? Can you think of, or you guys, that feels like the only one where...
What are some other ones?
The Man Who Knew Too Much.
The Man Who Knew...
Well, no, but I mean like a foreign director who directs the American remake. Of their own. Yes. Yeah, I mean, Man Who Knew Too Much, but
That's right. Man Who Knew Too Much is I don't love either film, but they're both
By the way, technically, that is,
yeah.
no, no, you say it, that is exactly that, because he was,
Yeah.
the original's a British film and the remake's an American film. So
That's right.
I guess it fits, but
That's
not
right.
quite that.
Yeah, I don't think those are the only ones I can think of, and they're not. Yeah, I don't think the Hitchcock is probably the best example of like how to pull it off, but I don't think necessarily it was like he had to make that movie. What do you think, Joe? What do you think of the remake for Man Who Knew Too Much?
It's quite a bit different.
It is quite a bit different, yeah.
But the original, it's the difference between his British period and his American period.
Yes, and you also can't get much more different than Peter Lorre and Jimmy Stewart.
Well, I mean, Orson Welles used to go all over the place about how Hitchcock lost everything when he started making movies for America, and he didn't. I mean, Orson Welles didn't like Rear.
Yeah,
he didn't like Rear Window.
Well,
he thought Rear Window was a terrible movie. I mean, it's like, come on.
No, I knew some of this. I didn't know Rear Window.
Yeah, no, he hated it.
Is that's quite possibly the perfect movie. By the way, talk about Contained.
Yeah, right.
The only thing worse than Rear Window, he said, was Vertigo.
Lord. Did he like North by Northwest even? How can you?
He didn't like that.
How can a human being
like that period?
How can a human being not enjoy watching North by Northwest? It's the most purely enjoyable movie ever made.
I agree.
Wow.
But he had a bug in his bonnet about that particular subject. I don't know if it was jealousy or who knows what it was. It could have been jealousy. I mean, one director's fabulously famous and rich, and the other director can get it done. So
Wells also hated Bergman and Woody Allen and Chaplin.
Antonioni.
Yeah,
hated Antonioni.
Well. Yeah, I'm a big
North by Northwest. Talk about a movie that gets a lot of laughs from a contemporary audience, but it's fine.
It's
fine.
And a lot
it's
of
all sort of tongue in
earned.
cheek, and they're making fun of Cary Grant anyway. It is over, so it's like, yeah, it's even funnier now than it was when it came out.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So that's my list. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything?
No, it's a great list.
Okay, good.
It's a fantastic list. It is. I'm trying to think of like
Last House on the Left was a good call. Yeah.
Yeah. Characters being held captive.
Well, there's Captive Wild Woman, Captive Women. There's a lot of movies with captive in the title.
I guess there's like Petrified Forest. What are some of the other early ones? That's kind of like.
Well,
that's right. They're all being kind of.
Yeah.
They're in and also last. What is it? Last something in Yuma County. What is it?
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Can never remember the title of that movie, but it's a good movie.
Key Largo.
Key Largo, yeah. Everybody's stuck in the
which
in
is
the hotel.
Good, campy fun. That would get massive laughs from a contemporary audience, I think, all the way through. But it's good fun. But yeah, those are those. That's what I got, you guys.
I think of okay, but like it can't just be. I think one of my favorite movies of all time is Taking a Pelham.
I did.
While that has people, but they're being held captive, but they're not. That's not the relationship of the film.
Now you're kind of cutting between.
Those people have like 4 lines.
Yeah, that's right. You're kind of cutting between the investigation and the So I did consider that because I love it.
How about The Incident for the Subway movie?
I don't know The Incident. What's The Incident?
The Larry Pierce movie.
But they're sort of trapped in it.
They're trapped in. It's Martin Sheen is a crazy, awful person, and he's holding these people hostage in a whole bunch of people in a subway.
It's my nightmare because I'm claustrophobic. I think that might have something to do with why I write these movies. And so, yeah, just the idea, even of it, when the subway stops between stops for a little bit, because there's maybe traffic up ahead and we're in between stations in the dark and that tunnel the train stops, I start to have a panic response. And I have to kind of, I'm really bad with it. I don't like being in elevators. I do it, but I don't like being in elevators.
I used to have that feeling when I first came to California and I was stuck in an underpass in a traffic jam, and I was thinking about earthquakes.
Oh my God! You can feel this tonnage ahead on top of you. Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, there was that double decker wreck in San Francisco where the two fell on top of each other, and there was like this. Can't we get out of here soon? Because we're
earthquakes are one of those things you can't really think about when you're in California. It's true. It's just you just have to put it out of your head. Yeah, my
Collateral.
Collateral. Yeah, that is a great one.
Collateral.
That falls into the genre of captor and captive become unwilling accomplices, sort of.
Yep.
Right. That's a good subgenre.
But it's very much about that, really.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah, that's good. The unwilling accomplice genre is good. Yeah, my claustrophobia manifests as sort of, it's not small spaces or even being enclosed, but it's just any situation I could be out in the open where I feel like I can't get away. I'm trapped. If I wanted to stand up and leave, I can't. And I guess it is interesting that therefore that both of the movies I've written are exactly that. I did not put that thought into it all. I mean, one of them this was just an assignment, Begonia. So it's not like I found it on my own. So,
but it's why it clicked with you.
Yeah, obviously that must be my fucking wheelhouse. So I'm gonna have to break.
I found out I was claustrophobic a million years ago, but I had no idea until I got stuck on an elevator.
Oh, I think about it
instant.
Every time I go into an elevator, I think like, well, it hasn't happened to me yet. Odds are, not odds are it's going to happen this time, but odds are it's going to happen at some point in my life, and it might be this one. I have that thought. It's not a healthy thought.
If for what it's worth, I remember freaking out. It was a physical thing. I mean, it was crazy. And someone gave me a lifesaver, and the sugar rush kind of helped.
I mean, that would be that's the part of it for me. It would be even worse if there were another person in the elevator with me, because a lot of it is the shame of I'm going to have
a dozen people.
I'm going to have a panic response in front of these other people.
In front of people.
Yeah. So it's a social shame as well.
Yeah.
But then I guess what you should do at that point is that might lessen the shame is just to turn to everyone and say, I am a major claustrophobic and I have panic. I'm having a panic response right now, just so you guys know. So I hope I don't freak you guys out. And maybe that's the best way to handle it. Yeah.
But carry sugar around, I think. That really did help. It really did. The immediate rush kind of just dampened it immensely.
Yeah.
But,
Wow. I got good advice out of this podcast. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm you know what? It's crazy. I haven't seen Naked Spur in a million years, and I'm getting that. I don't know.
Oh, it's great. Track it down. It's so great. And also just beautiful photography in I think they filmed in Colorado and a little bit in California.
Oh, Naked Spur, yeah. But then I am getting Murder, He Says.
Oh, Murder, He Says is nuts.
Oh, you'll like it. It's fun.
Yeah. You had me an incredibly dislikable character.
Hillbilly hell again. Yeah.
So, Will, man, I thank you for coming on.
Oh, gentlemen, this was a delight. I remain a huge fan of the podcast, and anytime, you want to have me back, please let me know.
Oh, great! You'll definitely have to come back.
I'll have to make another goddamn movie.
Good luck in the upcoming hoo-ha.
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you are having a good time.
How did you find it?
I really like, it's one of those things where like, I don't want to be that old asshole. It's like, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
But I had a blast. I was up against a movie that we all knew would win.
Yeah, me too.
That helps.
It does help. It also helps for me that I know I'm going to lose, and I specifically know I'm going to lose to Paul Thomas Anderson, so I'm okay with that.
Exactly right. Yeah, I was going to lose to like Larry McMurtry.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, no.
That's right. Exactly. It's like,
and you don't have to write a speech now.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Although I will tell you this, there was a thing, and there were a bunch of these things. Like we all get nominated for a bunch of things, and I remember like 10 minutes before they did the category, my girlfriend, she didn't intend to, but she was like, what if you win? And I was like, oh, I don't have anything. And I spent the next 10 minutes in my head just in case, concocting some kind of speech on the 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance. But it was a blast.
It's a fucking great
Just
script.
say thank you.
You've heard that a lot, Josh, but it's a great script.
Yeah. No, thank you. As is your, but but I keep telling them, because I've seen people go through this and they are like, they're invested in their this and their that. And you're like, man, go have a good time, because it's a wild ride.
It is.
You get to meet some very cool people. You get to some cool events. You don't have to pay for anything. You're like, I found myself at a party talking screenwriting with Clint Eastwood. I'm like,
pretty good.
Yeah, and I do know. There was one person I know as we were walking out, and I was like getting ready to go to the governor's ball dinner.
Yeah,
where I met. I mean, it's just crazy show. But Lord Bacall there, for God's sake.
Wow.
And this guy's like just leaving. I go, you're not going to the dinner? He's like, well, why bother? I didn't win. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I'm not that crazy. Yeah, that's
Who
nuts.
gives a shit?
That is absolutely nuts. Oh man, was anyone else from History of Violence nominated? I don't remember.
Yeah, William Hurt.
William Hurt was nominated. That's right.
Yeah. And
so you had kind of a buddy. I don't know if he was very buddy-ish, but
no, Bill. Yeah, he was great.
Okay,
he was great, man. We got to each other pretty well. I love him to death.
Yeah,
and,
it's nice to have like it's what you learn on these campaigns is like it's really good if everyone got along on the movie, because if you didn't, then you're basically having to spend 4 months in hell with some people you didn't like. Doing press, and that would be bad. But luckily, we all really like each other, so that was good.
Yeah, no, and you can tell from the stuff that I've watched. But it's have a great time.
Thanks, man.
And it'll be what it's going to be, and it's like it's not going to make. It's already made the difference it's going to make.
That's right.
The thing.
That's a great way of looking at it.
And good luck anyway.
And,
but
good luck anyway.
You never know. Maybe PTA gets canceled somehow between now and
right. But that's exactly. But imagine, like the worst thing I can imagine, and I'm not going to. But we had people in the other category my year that had to deal with this. But you're like, I'm probably going to lose to Paul Thomas Anderson. Like, but imagine if you were going to lose to.
I know. We don't.
Let's just say something not good.
Yeah, right.
Like something objectively terrible.
Know, exactly. Yeah.
That we might be talking about still in 20 years for its
right.
madness.
It's like, how did that even? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That could hurt. Yes. So, anyway, but thank you so much, man. The movie is a blast.
Thank you.
Watch them both because it's a really fun exercise.
Yeah. They're very different. It's great. Yeah, and I'm really glad that they're very different because in a way, like it kind of, it honors the original film in a way, by letting it stand on its own. So I'm
by being its own. But I think those are kind of the most fun, where it's like, here's some elements of a movie nobody over here has seen. We're going to take them. We're going to, and structure our own thing that still does honor to the original.
That's right.
And
obviously,
it's a great double feature.
I use a lot of the premise and a lot of the big plot beats. The one I had in mind remaking it, I mentioned Kaufman earlier, but his remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers was what I had in my head, where it's like it's the same premise, the same, a lot of the same big beats, but they are preoccupied with what was happening at that time and place in the culture that they were made in. Yeah, right.
And also a great double feature.
Right, exactly.
It's not at all repetitive in any.
Yeah, that's right. Both great movies.
Well, good stuff. Well, Will, thank you so much. Looking forward to whatever you do next.
Thanks, Will. Great to meet you.
Massive fan of you both.
And it's been a blast, man. Tell all your friends to listen.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
The official podcast of trailersfromhell.com, the best damn movie website there is. Our engineer is the composer Don Barrett, who also transmogrified, produced, and created our theme song. This is Josh Olson for The Movies That Made Me.